I am days away from leaving the United States, and if I really wanted to just add to the clickbait, I would say it's because of Trump. But in this video, what I'm going to tell you about is why I'm leaving the United States, what I'm going to be doing, and by the end, you'll see, yeah, actually, I can say without clickbait that this is because of Trump.
Yes.
This is a microphone.
Why do I need a microphone?
What are your feelings for next week?
Nervous?
Nervous? Why are you nervous?
Scared?
It's the summer of 2024, and I sit down with my wife in our living room on the couch, and I say, what do you think about leaving the country this next year with our whole family? Now, for some context, when I say our whole family, we have 6 kids. And that would not be a small thing to do. But I have a sabbatical coming up. And there are a lot of things that you can do on sabbatical. You can go visit other universities. You can take time to just do research. But I thought, what if we did those things, but in another country? Because I had been spending the summer talking to colleagues, going to conferences, and some of them had recommended that I do a Fulbright. Here. How are you feeling ahead of the trip next week?
I'm really scared.
Why are you really scared?
I just don't know what to expect.
If you're not familiar with the Fulbright program, it has a couple of different aspects to it. And one aspect is that it sends students abroad to do study abroad. Some is that it takes foreign students and brings them to the United States to do study abroad. But another aspect of it is the Scholar Program, which takes faculty and sends them to schools in other countries. And I thought, hey, this would be a really cool opportunity to get funding to take the family to another country. And shockingly, my wife was interested. She was, considering it as a possibility. And so I started the Fulbright process. Now, if you are interested in doing a Fulbright, by the way, especially if you're a professor doing Fulbright, I talked with the people at Fulbright and they gave me 2 pieces of advice on applying to a specific country. They said, look, the 2 things you got to do in your application is convince us this is the right place for you. Meaning, a lot of people can look at it and say, well, yeah, it would be awesome if the State Department, that's who it's funded through, which is going to be important to later in the story. But it'd be awesome if the State Department could fund a vacation to Costa Rica, right? Or yes, it would be great to go spend a year in France, right? I would love to have the government fund this for me. And so they don't want to just fund people who are going to go take vacations. They want to fund people who have a reason to be in this country. So the research question you have to propose shouldn't be something that is oh, you could do this in any country and you're just choosing to do this in Costa Rica. You need to choose a research question that is the reason why I'm going to this country is because this is the only place where I can do this specific research, right? You need a matchup between who you are and the place you're going to go. And then the other thing is why it's the right time, why this has to be done now. My answer to that was, I have sabbatical. If I don't do this now, I won't be able to do it for another 7 years.
What's that?
It's a microphone.
Hello?
What do you think about next week?
Cool?
What are you feeling right now?
Excited / kind of scared?
How about you?
Just realizing it was a week from it surprised me, and now I'm it's gonna be a lot change.
It's just around the corner.
But the answer to the first one, what country? My research focuses on Haiti. And maybe you don't follow Haiti as much as I do, but Haiti is not in a good spot right now. The president was assassinated years ago. They haven't replaced him. It's being overrun by gangs. It's a really terrible and just one of the saddest stories going on right now. And so obviously Fulbright is not sending any professors to Haiti. So that was my natural place to go to. But I decided that I would do another natural place where my research has been extending. And so I applied, gave my case. You submit the application in September, and December arrives, and I get the email saying that I am a semifinalist for, I guess I should grab this. I'm a semifinalist to go from roughly right here in the United States to the Dominican Republic, sharing the island with Haiti, right? Super pumped. December 2024. We've got, it's not guaranteed I'm a semifinalist. There's another round I have to go through, but it looks like we're going to end up in the Dominican Republic. And then January happened and Trump became president. What do you think? So it's January 2025. Trump and Doge hit DC, and it is just like the craziest time for lots of things in the government, but especially for people interested in doing a Fulbright program, because the Fulbright was such an easy target for what Doge was doing. It's focused on foreigners, right? It's going abroad. It's not like a major domestic program, so very easy to target there. It's targeting primarily people who are university educated or want to be university educated, right? It's definitely an elite program, not a populist program. And then like those research questions that I talked about, those research questions a lot of times are dealing with like gender or environment, lots of topics that would be classified as woke. And this this program becomes a prime target for efficiency cuts. And so while I'm waiting for the decision on my application to be made, all of a sudden news starts circulating, like public news, which is, hey, the employees for this program have been furloughed, meaning they are not allowed in the office and they're not making any progress on the applications that you submitted. Also, we're hearing from the current scholars who are in the field, right? They received those awards and they're in their countries and they're putting comments in message groups and they're publishing op-eds saying, hey, I'm in this country and I can't pay my rent because the funds have been frozen. They are not giving me access to the money that I was promised. Now I'm stranded in this country, and some of them are being told, like, you should try and get the first flight home. There's all these complications around the Fulbright. And so even though I don't have a decision yet, we start to question, even if we get accepted, do we want to take the risk that we could get out there with a family of 6 kids and suddenly have the funding pulled, where we're stuck in this country and we don't know what to do? Is this a risk that we're willing to take? And so this dream of heading out to the Dominican Republic to do research suddenly starts crumbling. And we start wondering if we're going to be able to do a sabbatical at all. But then I had a lunch that changed my life. What do you think?
Becca, say what you think.
You have no idea what's coming, do you?
She did.
One of my friends is in town, and this friend in particular had done the Fulbright and had helped me with my application. And so we're at lunch, and he naturally asks me, what's the status on the Fulbright? And so, of course, I tell him the lowdown, like, look, we're not sure if this program's surviving. Even if it does survive, we're not sure if we want to take that risk. We don't know what we're going to do if anything with this decision, right? We're just in limbo right now. And he gave me some great advice because he talked about how transformative his sabbatical had been for his family, the great experiences that had been created for his kids. And he said, look, the worst thing you can do, well, at least the second worst thing you can do, is to take your sabbatical and just sit around here and do research here. The worst thing you could do is just not take your sabbatical at all. But the second worst thing you could do is take that sabbatical and not go out and do something. You need to figure out if there's something that you can do. Get out there and have something happen. I had already reached out to a few places. I at least had been probing, trying to figure out what I could do. I hadn't really had any success. But that lunch really motivated me to try like one last thing, where I reached out to some friends. This channel has been funded by Emergent Ventures. So this is the group out of Mercatus. That funding came way back in the beginning of 2019. So it's been a while. And so I decided to reach out to my friends who had also received Emergent Venture grants because they are familiar with the funding landscape. And so I just put a message out there to the friends and said, hey, everyone, I was looking at doing this. I'm not sure if it's going to work out. Just looking to see if anyone knows of other opportunities that are out there. And that's when I got a message. So one of the crazy things that you have to deal with when you're traveling internationally with a family with 6 kids is that when you buy your tickets, you can get 2 checked bags and a carry-on, which means with 6 kids, 2 adults, that's 8 people, 3 bags each, 24 bags that you can bring on this flight. And we're in kind of a situation here where, let's see if we go out. There are a lot of bags that are getting ready to go on this trip with us. It's kind of an issue that we're having to deal with, and it's posing an economic problem. The message was from a friend who runs the Caribbean and African program within Emergent Ventures. He's familiar with me because of my research in Haiti. And he said, hey, what are you wanting to do? And how much money are you looking for? I explained to him, like, well, we were trying to get to the Dominican Republic. This is how much the Fulbright would have helped us fund. We're looking for this much to try and get our family out there. And he's like, you know what? We have funds where we could cover you. We have funds because this is the Caribbean and African program. We can fund people who are doing work in the Caribbean or Africa. We would love to get a proposal from you and consider funding you. And it seemed like, oh my goodness, all of a sudden our problem is solved. Like, this is great. This is amazing. Honey, we can do our trip to the Dominican Republic. But then we had started thinking about something, because one of the reasons why we chose the Dominican Republic was because of that. It has to be the right place. And the Dominican Republic was a natural connection because of Haiti. And it was something where I would be competitive, right? I became a semi-finalist. This was opening our scope where we could propose projects that were maybe a little bit more ambitious, a little bit more exciting. And there had been a project that was on my mind, or at least a location that was on my mind, that I thought, like, maybe this would be possible if we did this. The economic problem is that the marginal cost, at least in terms of direct costs, is 0 for bags right now, right? Like, we're not going to use 24 bags. But the margin that we have to worry about, the trade-off that we're looking at, is not how much do we want to pay for an extra bag. It's at what point do we get to a bag where the contents of that bag are worth the fact that we have to lug a whole nother suitcase with us through an airport, out of an airport, onto a car when we get there, into our Airbnb, track that, right? Like, the marginal cost is not just the direct cost. It's the opportunity cost and the effort dealing with all those bags. So we are in the middle of a very real, practical marginal cost, marginal benefit decision right now. Now it's a couple of years in the past, and I'm at a conference, and at that conference is an economist from Princeton, Leonard Wanchekin. And I know I've actually run into him before when I was a graduate student, so I was like, hey, I'm going to reintroduce myself, and especially because I think he'd be interested in some of the work that I do in Haiti. So I approach him, say, hey, here I am. I do this work in Haiti. And he's like, wow, that's really interesting. I founded the African School of Economics, and we have campuses throughout Africa. And we have always thought that it would be interesting to try and get Haitians to come to the African School of Economics. would you be interested in like talking about how we could make that work? Of course, I thought that would be super interesting. Unfortunately, the meeting never like came to pass. You know, we're both like super busy. And so the project kind of just like fell by the wayside. But as I was thinking about alternatives to the Dominican Republic before I had this lunch, I had been thinking about the African School of Economics and seeing if there was an opportunity to revive that project. And I'd actually reached out already and said like, hey, what do you think about? And had gotten some interest in spending a sabbatical out there, just had to figure out the funding. And so we went back to the Emergent Ventures and said, hey, I know I talked to you about the Dominican Republic project. I'm actually really interested in going out and working with the African School of Economics. This is what it would take for me to get out there, bring my family. And so I proposed going to, man, I gotta go all the way back here again. Instead of being here in the Dominican Republic, we're looking at going all the way out, and not looking, we are going to Benin. I have this globe here because Benin is a tiny country that you probably haven't heard of, right? But it's right next to Nigeria. It's in between Nigeria and Ghana. It's got Togo, this nice tiny country next to it. Small country, we're going to be in Cotonou, Benin. And that is the headquarters of the African School of Economics. And we're really excited that we're going to be able to hang out with them. And I'm also starting to do research in Benin and looking at Beninese economic history. And there are just so many parts of this that we're excited about. One, to have just a radically different experience. You know, I've been to the Dominican Republic. People go to the Dominican Republic on vacation. Like, if we want to go there, we can get out there. But going out to West Africa, that's a totally new and unique experience that we had not even been thinking of. I'm really excited to be hanging out with the African School of Economics to see if there are ways that we can work together to promote the research that they're doing there, to help admissions. We're still working out what the role is there. And then on a very personal level, we're members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and French-speaking Africa has seen a lot of growth of membership into the church. And we're really excited to be there among the members of our faith and just learn from these Christians in Africa. Like, hey, what are you guys doing? And how can we be better Christians here in America by looking to your examples? So economically, personally, like, there are so many awesome benefits that we're going to Cotonou. And we're going to be sharing a lot of that adventure here on this channel. I'm already excited about some ideas on how I can connect economic concepts to our experiences in Cotonou. But then as we're there, I'm excited to learn about like things that I hadn't thought about and how I can bring them to the Market Power audience. Really excited about this upcoming era of Market Power and the things that we're going to be able to do. We're going to be there for 6 months. And so hopefully we'll have a lot of really interesting content here on Market Power. So I hope that you subscribe. You also see that, yeah, it wasn't clickbait at the beginning of this when I said the reason why we're ending up here is because of Trump. If he hadn't come in and thrown a wrench in everything, I don't know if we would have made this trip. So I guess, thank you, Trump.